mateys, welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor here to review The Lighthouse. Robert Eggers, the director of The Witch, in his new film, starring Robert Pattinson and William Dafoe. And I'm doing my sea shanty voice there at the top because this film is that type of film. If there was ever an adaptation of the old sea captain from The Simpsons, but in a dramatic way, this is that film. Now, sounds good, right? That sounds like it's good, but for me, it was mixed. It was mixed in that I saw the trailer, and I want to show a quick clip from the trailer. The trailer was cool. Like, I was excited. It just looked bonkers. And the film is bonkers. Don't get me wrong. All this is in the movie. But it takes a little while to get there, and I didn't really care enough to stick around for it. Willem Dafoe is fantastic. Robert Pattinson is solid. Robert Pattinson gets a lot of flack these days for sort of Twilight. Why is he Batman? He's not a good actor. He is. He's a good actor. He does a good ranged performance. It starts off slow, but then he eventually unleashes, and you see the build of his character arc. Willem Dafoe is just bonkersly. I don't want to get into too much, but yeah, Willem Dafoe is a standing here. He is great, as I said on Twitter. I really enjoyed his performance. But the movie is their performances. It's what's going on. It's their performances surrounded by a bunch of surreal moments. And as wacky as the trailer shows, again, I'm trying not to spoil things, but it's hard. You saw in the trailer. That's the movie. The stuff you see in the trailer is what the movie's showing you too. There aren't any big crazy scenes where you're like, oh, suddenly a squid shows up. No, it's all like mental tricks and quick shots and what's real and what's not. And I just don't like those kind of movies. I don't need my movie to just explain everything. But a movie like Midsummer, which I feel like was also another open-ended movie from this, more original open-ended movie from A24. He took more commitment. He committed more to like make a stance of what the sort of movie was about and where the characters were going. And while that happens here, I didn't feel as on the journey. I felt more of just like confused by it and I had too much to unpack. Versus Midsummer, I had a lot to unpack, but at least I felt like, okay, well that happened. And then there was still a little bit of like, did it happen? And for me, it was just a better told story mixed with crazy surreal visuals and a plot that was happening and unfolding. Whereas The Lighthouse is really just a take on, isolation and, claustrophobia and those vibes of closing in on you and, going batty in your mind and going crazy. And ironically, just saw another similar film in Lucy in the Sky with Natalie Portman. Much worse film, but sort of the same themes but that one in the opposite sense of she's in space looking down on Earth and she feels so small when she comes back to Earth. She's like, how can I ever adapt to this world now that I know we're just nothing? In this film, it's the opposite. It's like two guys are stuck on a rock, can't leave. They're with each other. They don't like each other. Well, they don't trust each other. They don't really understand each other. And they have nights just drinking and trying to, when they sort of connect. And then Willem Dafoe, makes him work the lighthouse. So the film is about Robert Pattinson as this new lighthouse keeper coming to man the lighthouse. And they're there for, I think, few weeks or something. They're there for a period of time to work on the lighthouse. Willem Dafoe is sort of the one who's been doing it for the while, and Robert Pattinson is the new guy. And they come in to work the lighthouse, and it's a lot of that. The movie starts, that's what's going on. You're getting the routine of what's going to happen, who's in charge. Willem Dafoe's charge. Willem Dafoe won't let Robert Pattinson go see or take charge of the lighthouse itself. All the other menial tasks he forces him to do and keeps cracking a whip saying you're not working fast enough. And that's sort of the vibe that then you get irritated and frustrated and you're feeling Robert Pattinson's struggle of like, what's going on? This is too much to bear. And on top of sort of this craziness of them, and then some surreal stuff happens. And is it real? Is it not? Is it the alcohol? Is it the fact that they've been there too long? Is it the sea? All of it sort of then gets to their mind, and then you're watching them unravel. That is the film. So that sounds like something you want to watch with great acting performances. Go see the film. Check out now. Don't even watch the rest of my review. That's what it is. And I liked the performances. Don't get me wrong. And I liked the director's not style, but yeah, he liked his style. I just didn't like the tone. I didn't like the themes in that. It just didn't connect with me. It didn't make sense. I had trouble. I wanted more of the chaos, and while it's there, and some of the reviews are like, oh, it's so funny. Like, I wanted to laugh. I laughed at Midsummer. Midsummer to me was that movie, that was sort of an open-ended artistic film, also from A24, that I was just laughing in the uncomfortable moments where I didn't do that as much here. It's definitely going for a creepy vibe at times. There's some really cool scenes where it's like these standoffs with this seagull and this one-eyed seagull moment that I actually really did. I wanted more of this, and I wanted to lead to something more clear. And I just was left more disappointed by it all. But it's like bad luck to kill a seabird, and that's sort of the advice that Willem Dafoe tells Robert Pattinson. But this seabird is clearly like has it out for Pattinson, is just like constantly trying to annoy him, and they say it's the spirit of people who are died on the sea. And it was like cool idea, and then left to your imagination whether it actually meant anything. And that's where I don't think it's lazy. I don't think Robert Eggers was being lazy. I absolutely believe he had a purpose and point to everything he put on screen in this film. But I don't know. It was too much homework for me to sort of try to figure out and remember and go back and then, okay, I have to go rewatch it now to sort of make sense and see if I like the film. I'm not a huge fan of those types of films. It's got to really wow me for me to want to go back and unpack it, which this one didn't. Midsommar did. I really enjoyed that one. I just thought that was just crazy, and they commit to a story, whereas this one doesn't really have a story. It's just two people going mad on a rock. And some weird, crazy stuff happens throughout very quickly to sort of, what? But then nothing really comes from it. Now, there is an escalation to the film, and there is, an ending, and the characters go somewhere. I'm not going to get into it, but which was almost better. It took so long to get there, and then they sort of rushed through all that point without sort of committing in my mind that I by that time it came around, I was sort of, what time is it? And sadly, that was my opinion overall. So it's a good film. Honestly, I know that sounds weird. It's a good film in that it's beautifully shot, really well acted. I liked the attempt. I'm not going to say it's a poor, don't waste your time. It's a movie you have to be prepared for to go see. And it's not one I'm going to rush to watch again. It's a movie I saw it. I'm glad I saw it. But I don't think it's going to have a lasting impact for me on my top 10 of the year or even beyond the year. It's going to be one that floats away in the memory of my movie-going experience and not leave any lasting impressions. Whereas Midsommar left some lasting impressions with its creepiness and open-endedness that at least just connected with me better. So that's where I stand. I still love A24 films. I love that they take these shots and do a film full like this in black and white that really just doesn't really go anywhere. It's sort of like a big painting. It's like an old painting you're just staring at, and you have to find your own meaning in it. And I guess that just reality is I'm not always the biggest fan of that. Either the painting strikes me and then I'll take the time, or it doesn't and I move on to the next painting. And in this case, I want to move on to the next movie. But what did you think? It opened this weekend. I meant to post this earlier. I'm curious now that it's out. Hopefully some of you saw it. I do encourage you to check it out if you're into real cinema, artistic stuff to interpret. Tell me what you thought down below. What did I miss? Maybe you'll turn me to get more interested to see it again. But leave some comments down below. Hit me up on social media. I'll be back with more videos soon. And thank you so much as always for watching. Bye, everybody.